What a wild game four as the Atlanta Braves come from behind to steal a game from the Houston Astros and are now just one win away from winning the World Series. We'll be breaking down all the key moments from game four on this episode of a Locked On Braves. So let's get into it.
Hey, this is Stacey Gotsoulias,
DC Lundberg,
Ryan Finkelstein,
Taylor Blake Ward,
host of Locked On Yankees,
Locked On Mariners,
Locked On Mets,
Locked On Angels,
and you're listening to Locked On Braves.
Locked On Braves,
Locked On Braves,
part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hey, and welcome back to Locked On Braves, brought to you by the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your favorite teams every day. I'm your host, Jake Mastriani. You can follow me on Twitter at ShortstopBall. Check out my bio there to see everywhere I am covering the great game of baseball, and how great is this game right now. I also write for the Braves over at TomahawkTake.com, so check out my written work over there as well. Also, make sure you follow the podcast on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Also, subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast. And please subscribe to us on YouTube as we get that channel going. And thanks for making Locked On Braves your first listen each and every day before the game, after the game. We post episodes daily. Right now, we're posting episodes twice a day as we get through this World Series. So make sure that you're locked on to Locked On Braves. All right, so let's jump into this wild game four. You know, after it seemed like the offense was dead in the water for most of this game, and I'm getting ready to come on here and bash the offense, which there's still some struggles there offensively, but they come up with some big hits late to come back and beat the Astros 3-2 and take a 3-1 series lead. What an exciting finish to that game four. But you can't forget about the pitching in this one. And, they were able to get out of some big jams early in order to hold the Astros at bay and to keep the Braves in the game. So clearly, the pitching is the star in this game for me. I know the offense came up big late, but it was the pitching. I mean, you can't deny what the pitching has done in the series, what they did in this game, in a bullpen game. Obviously, Kyle Wright came up very huge in this one early. And, the decision by Snitker was really gutsy to go to Tyler Matzik in the seventh, even though the Braves were down by a run. I talked about in my pregame episode that one of my fears was that if it was a close game and the Braves were behind, that Snitker wasn't going to go to one of the big relievers late because he just used them yesterday. You got another bullpen game in game five. So my worry was that, he was not, not necessarily going to punt the game, but not exactly go all in to win it either. And credit to Snitker, he does. He goes to Matzik in the seventh, trust in his offense to get the runs to come back, and that's exactly what happens. But there were so many big moments in this game, so let's break them all down, starting at the top. And, we got the late news about Dylan Lee starting this game, being the opener. Again, I talked about it in my preview episode. I thought it was a smart decision, a good decision, based on the fact that Dylan Lee doesn't walk a lot of batters. He's going to throw some strikes, get ahead in counts. And what do you know? He walks two batters in the first inning. Now, granted, there was a lot of borderline calls in this game, particularly for Dylan Lee and Kyle Wright, that were 50-50 balls right on the black, and it seemed like none of them went their way. But still, Dylan Lee was not as sharp as you would expect for him. Like I said in the pregame too, a big moment for him, the biggest moment, biggest stage he's ever pitched on. So a little understandable for him to not necessarily be himself in this one. But again, unfortunately, only gets one out. It was a big strikeout of Bregman, but gives up an infield single to Altuve, walks a couple of batters, and Kyle Wright comes into just an impossible situation. The bases loaded, one out. He gets a weak ground out from Correa that does score the runner from third, but that's the only thing he gives up, and he really comes in and gets out of that jam, and that feels like a big momentum shift for the Braves. Even though they gave up the run, that felt like a huge momentum shift for them, with Wright only giving up one inherited runner there. In the second inning, as Wright went back out there, Austin Riley made a great diving catch that, is a big play in this game that's probably going to get overlooked a little bit. But the Astros had two on with one out, and Altuve smoked the ball down the third base line. Riley was covering the line. He was able to just jump at that ball, dive for it, catch it in the air. That ball gets by him. It's likely a double and likely a run on the board for the Astros. So that certainly becomes a really key play in this game looking back. Wright got into more trouble in the third inning. He had 2 on with 1 out, but was able to navigate through the bottom of their order. He then gave up a home run to Altuve in the fourth, which made it a 2-0 game. And then he had 2 on with 2 outs in the fifth, but was also able to get out of that as well. A couple of key intentional walks to Yuli Guriel. Dusty Baker decided to bat the pitcher 8th in this game, and Zach Greinke actually got a hit batting in that 8th spot in this game. But that kind of played a factor in Wright getting out of those 2 jams in the third and fifth inning, because they were able to walk Guriel to get to the pitcher spot or the pinch hitter spot. I think it was Marwin Gonzalez that came in the fifth inning there. So that, again, another kind of key takeaway to this game. The alternative would have been Martin Maldonado. He's actually hit some balls pretty hard in this game, so I don't know that it would have made that big of a difference either way, but certainly, something to think about there. I think either way, the Braves would have pitched around Guriel to get to Maldonado. That's kind of a no-brainer as well, but definitely able to work out of those jams. Overall, Kyle Wright pitched 4 2/3 inning, about 2 2/3 innings more than I thought we would get out of him. He allowed 5 hits and 3 walks, but like I said, 2 of those were intentional walks to Guriel to get out of some jams. He only gave up the 1 run, the home run to Altuve, and he had 3 strikeouts. And even though he had a lot of traffic in this one, I never felt like, it was that threatening. I felt like he was in control the whole time. His command did get away from him a little bit. He started leaving that sinker up in the zone, but once he started getting it back down, was really effective. I thought Kyle Wright was really good in this game, really promising for him going forward. I know we've seen flashes, but to do that in this spot in the World Series, that's huge for Kyle Wright's confidence going forward. I thought he was great in this one, gave the Braves exactly what they needed and even more. Again, talked about it in pregame. I thought of the bullpen, could get through 5 innings, giving up 2 earned or less. I thought the Braves had a really good chance to win this game. They did that, and Kyle Wright did the bulk of that, and the offense still didn't do enough. Kyle Wright still left in the 5th inning down 2-0, but either way, great work by him to get through those 5 innings, giving up 2 earned or less, and keeping the team in the game. I can't tell you enough how big that was in this game for the Braves. And the Braves offense, I mentioned it, they were brutal in this game early on, and they really just got outsmarted by Zach Greinke, who I talked about, a veteran pitcher. He knows how to get outs. He knows what he can do good right now, keeping hitters off balance, throwing that curveball in there at 70 to 78 miles an hour, and then sneaking up on you with a heater. It makes that 90 miles per hour fastball, look like 100. Just because of the way that he mixes speed like that. So, he did a great job keeping the Braves hitters off balance. Way too many swings and misses against Zach Greinke. I don't care, how good his game plan was. 12 of the Braves' 30 swings were misses against him. That is just far too much. That continues to be a problem for the Braves in this series. Too many swings and misses, too many strikeouts. That was really frustrating to watch early on, going up against a pitcher in Greinke, who, again, like I said, he's a veteran, he's crafty, he knows what to do, but still, you got to expect to at least push across a run or 2. They did have lone singles in each of the first 4 innings, but Freddie Freeman hit into a double play, Jock Peterson hit into a double play, so just a really frustrating offensive performance through the first 5 innings of this game, but that's what we've seen from this Braves offense all year. It can look terrible for half a game, and then all of a sudden, a swing here, a swing there, and they break out. But, that doesn't happen if the pitching doesn't keep them in this game. Another thing with the offense being so sluggish early on, the crowd, I thought, was really taken out of this one. The only time the crowd really got into this game was when Kyle Wright was getting out of a jam. There was nothing offensively for the crowd to get going in this one. So I thought the crowd was really taken out of it early, but that changed later in the game. The 6th inning was scary for me in the top of the 6th. Chris Martin came on. I actually paused the game because I didn't want to see Chris Martin against the top of their lineup. So I paused it, went and got some things done so that I could kind of just fast forward through that inning a little bit, but he threw the ball well. He got out of it, got through the top of their order. That was huge for him to kind of what I feel like steal an inning, because Chris Martin just really scares me at this point. So that was big right there to keep it a 2-run deficit. And then came the bottom of the 6th, and that's where everything started to change in the Braves' favor. Dusty Baker brought in Brooks Raley, the lefty, to get to pitch to Eddie and Freddie at the top of the order there. Orlando Arcia pinch hit in the 9th spot and got out. But then Eddie came up and got a 1-out double, another pitch in. He just smoked it down the right field line for a double. So finally we got a runner in scoring position, first time in the game. And then Rayleigh kind of hung a pitch, his first pitch into Freddie, and I thought Freddie was about to demolish it. Somehow he missed it. Maldonado called time, went to the mound, and I can't say for certain what he said, but I'm pretty sure he said something like, "Don't do that again. We got Ozzie Albies on deck. Let's be careful to Freddie Freeman here." And they were. The next 3 pitches were way out of the zone. He did get a 3-1 pitch that's kind of inside, and then they did walk Freddie Freeman to get to Albies. I personally think that was intentional. I love Ozzie Albies. He's one of my favorite players, but he has been struggling this postseason, particularly in big spots. And I just think it's smart either way you got a base open there. I know that puts the tying run on base, but I would much rather pitch to Ozzie Albies in that situation than Freddie Freeman. So they walk Freddie, puts 2 on with 1 out. And Ozzie does strike out. Again, really struggling. I think he needs to get out of that 3 hole, but I don't really know who else Snitker puts there, but that's besides the point. We're not going to focus on that right now, but Ozzie does strike out, leaves it up to Austin Riley. And Austin Riley, I think he's hitting like 250 in the postseason. Not a ton of hits, but when he gets them, they are big, and he delivers again, gets a breaking ball that, again, stays inside. You can see him stay back on the pitch, read it, and drove it into left field to bring home Eddie Rosario to make it a 2-1 game. And that was big because Snitker had Matzik and Smiley up in the bullpen. You have to figure he's only doing that if the Braves don't score. He brings in Smiley. If they do score, he brings in Matzik. So that run was huge. You don't know how the game would have played out differently if Smiley comes in, but the Braves get that run, make it a 2-1 game, and Snitker makes the bold move and goes to Tyler Matzik. After the Riley hit, just to finish up that inning, they did intentionally walk Jock Peterson to pitch to Travis d'Arnaud. Travis d'Arnaud had a brutal night. He's probably been the Braves' best hitter in this World Series, at least through the first 3 games, but he was bad tonight. Struck out there with the bases loaded, unable to tack on any runs there. So Matzik comes on for the 7th, gives up the 2-out hit to Kyle Tucker, but nothing else. Then Dusty went to their ace-in-the-hole reliever in Christian Javier, who's been lights out for them this postseason. I don't think he had given up a run this postseason. Entering this game, he gets the ball to strike out to start the inning, and he makes Dansby look foolish on the first 2 pitches. I mean, the first pitch to Dansby, he goes flailing at a pitch, a breaking ball away, and I'm just thinking, Dansby's been cold. This is terrible. There's nothing good going to come of this at bat. For some reason, they decide to throw an 0-2 fastball on the outside corner, and credit to Dansby, who again has been cold. He stays on that fastball, takes it the other way, and drives it out over the wall in right field for a game-tying 2-run homer. And I love the reaction from Dansby. Again, he's been struggling at the plate. It's killing him. It's eating him up. He lives for that type of moment. He loves this type of atmosphere. So for him to get a big hit there, pointing to the crowd as he goes around the bases there, that was a huge moment. Absolutely loved that for Dansby. Hopefully it gets him going in the rest of this series. And then next up was Jorge Solaire. And my goodness, how awesome has Jorge Solaire been? Didn't get the start in this one, but comes in a big spot here, gets a hanging breaking ball similar to what you saw with Ozzie earlier. Jorge saw it. He recognized breaking ball, was able to sit back on it and really just throw his upper body at the baseball and still hit it 107 miles per hour. I thought this was going to be a no-doubter, but it had a lot of topspin on it. And Yordan Alvarez almost caught this ball at the wall. He did run into the wall. Fortunately, he was okay, but the ball does sail over the left field wall out there, and the Braves take a 3-2 lead. Crowd is going crazy. Absolutely electric atmosphere there at Truist Park, and the Braves have come back to take a 3-2 lead. After that, Dusty Baker went to his closer and Ryan Presley. He got Eddie and Freddie to strike out to end that inning. But the Braves really made him work in the eighth. They weren't able to punch across an insurance run as they were the night before, but Presley ended up throwing 33 pitches in this game. So you have to wonder how that affects him for game 5 when you know Dusty Baker's probably going to need them unless it's just a blowout game. But their backs are going to be against the wall. So you know they're going to need Presley in game 5. He threw 33 pitches today. So we'll see if that has an effect on him in game 5. Again, weren't able to punch across a run, but at least they were able to make him throw a lot of pitches. Luke Jackson came in for the 8th, was a little erratic, went into some deep counts with Aletmus Diaz and Martin Maldonado, but made a great 3-2 pitch to strike out Maldonado. And then came maybe the play of the game with 2 outs in the bottom of the 8th. Altuve squared up a ball, and I thought it was gone off the bat. Just honestly, I thought Altuve did it again. It was hit 100.8 miles per hour. And Eddie Rosario is an adventure in left field. You all know it at this point. I'm watching him track this ball and go back. And at first I'm thinking maybe he has a read on it. Then it's looking like, okay, is he going to play it off the wall? And then at the last second, he just reaches his glove out and snags the ball out of the air. I still have no idea how he caught this ball. I've watched it several times now. No idea how he caught that ball. And that was huge because, like I said, first of all, I thought the ball was gone. The game was tied, heartbreaking. And then I thought, it's at least a double off the wall. You're going to have Altuve in scoring position. When he gets on base, he scores. And then Rosario just makes the play of the game, reaches out, catches the ball. Just absolutely crazy catch there. And then Will Smith had an uneventful 9th inning, which is always great to see. Goes through the 2, 3, and 4 hitters in their lineup, freezes Michael Brantley on a 3-2 pitch, which was the pitch of the 9th inning there because, he gets on there to lead off that inning. Who knows how that inning goes. And I saw Will Smith shake off Travis d'Arnaud on that 3-2 pitch. Maybe he was trying to play games with the hitter, but go back and watch it. I'm pretty sure Will Smith shook off Travis d'Arnaud and then threw that pitch down the way, dotted down the way, just froze Michael Brantley. And then he gets Bregman and Jordan out to end it. Just a great game, a great comeback for this team. Again, thought they were absolutely dead. Astros weren't able to cash in early. That hurt them in this game, and the Braves were able to get some big hits late, got some great pitching throughout. Just a really good team win here. We'll take a quick break here, and then we'll come back and talk about our players of the game. This episode is brought to you by our friends at Built Bar. Did you know that Built Bar has so many delicious flavors? There's something for everyone. If you haven't explored all the different flavors at Built Bar, you are truly missing out. From coconut to mint brownie, salted caramel, German chocolate, and my favorite, cookies and cream. If you haven't tried all the flavors, you can get a mixed box where you get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Not only are Built Bar flavors the best tasting, but they're healthy too, ranging from 17 to 18 grams of protein, 130 to 180 calories, 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Built Bar is also the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. Go to BuiltBar.com, use promo code LOCKEDON15, and you'll get 15% off your order. Use promo code LOCKEDON15 for 15% off at Built.com. BetOnline is back and better than ever. A new web interface for the start of basketball season and more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline remains your number one spot for all the basketball and football action this season. Head to their new updated desktop or mobile website to sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use our promo code LOCKEDON to receive your bonus from basketball, football, baseball, NHL, boxing, and UFC right to your favorite Vegas casino games. Don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available for the 2021 season. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right, so for me, the player of the game in this one is Kyle Wright. I mean, I thought the only way the Braves win one of these 2 bullpen games is if you get an unexpected, heroic type performance from either Kyle Wright or Tucker Davidson. And they got that from Kyle Wright in this one. I said in the pregame show, I thought they'd try to get one inning out of Dylan Lee, 2 out of Kyle Wright, maybe 2 out of Jesse Chavez. They get 4 2/3 out of Kyle Wright. Again, only allows the 1 run, comes in that big spot in the first inning and gets out of that jam, only allowing the 1 run. So for me, he's the obvious player of the game. My other second player of the game here is not an actual player, but a manager. I thought Brian Snitker managed this game perfectly. And honestly, he's been doing really well all postseason, the way he has managed these games. I talked about the decision to go to Matzik in the 7th instead of Drew Smiley, even though the Braves were down by a run. That to me shows the trust that he has in his offense, that knowing they were going to come up with a big hit, even though the Astros had their bullpen ready to go, had their best bullpen arms ready. Brian Snitker showed a lot of confidence in his offense there to make a comeback and decide to go with his big 3 relievers at the end of this game. I thought that was very huge, very good move by Snitker, and also pulling the plug on Solaire when he did. He could have pinch hit for Solaire earlier in this game, but didn't. He saved him for the right spot there, and that was huge as well. So a big star to Brian Snitker in this one. And then my other player of the game is Eddie Rosario. Again, Eddie just continues to stay hot. He's been so unbelievable in this postseason for the Braves. I mean, when the offense looked dead as it could be, he comes up with that big double, his second hit of the game, and that really just ignited the offense, got them going. He scores that first run. I thought that was huge. Then he had that catch, just unbelievable catch to Rob Altuve of a double. So again, I think Eddie Rosario has been the player of the postseason for the Braves. I thought he had some of the biggest moments in this game as well, kind of sparking the offense, making a big play defensively, which you certainly don't expect from him. And then I got to mention, Dansby and Solaire again, the back-to-back home runs there. I'm not always great at noting, all-time achievements here, but I did see where Jorge Solaire is the first player in World Series history to have a leadoff home run and a pitch hit home run. So that's very cool for him. He's already got the record for the first player ever to have a leadoff home run to start a World Series. So big World Series for Jorge Solaire already. But what just a thrilling, exciting game this was. The Braves now go up 3-1. They got 3 games to try and close this out. 1 more game at home before potentially heading back to Houston. So they have an opportunity to clinch this thing at home in front of their fans in Atlanta. So really exciting game here. Really happy for the Braves, happy for the fans, and we'll see if they can close it out on Sunday. I'll obviously be back on Sunday with a Game 5 preview once we know what the pitching is going to look like. It looks like the Astros are going to throw out Framber Valdez, their Game 1 starter. I hate to mention it, but man, would it be great to have Charlie Morton here to try to close this thing out. But we'll move on from that. Like I said, we'll get a preview podcast in there on Sunday once we see who's going to start for the Braves. If it's me, I'm starting AJ Minter in Game 5. He's had a couple of days off now. We've seen how key these early inning runs are. If it's me, I start AJ Minter, see if you can get 2, maybe 3 innings out of him, and then kind of piece the 3rd, 4th, and 5th inning together, with Tucker Davidson, Jesse Chavez, and see, play it out from there, see what happens. But I would start AJ Minter, let him, ride him as long as you can. But we'll see what Snitker decides to do, how he decides to manage Game 5. Got a little bit of wiggle room now, being up 3-1 in the series, but you definitely don't want to give this Astros team any hope. Try to close it out at home here. But that will do it for this episode of Locked On Braves. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at LockedOn_Braves. Follow me at ShortstopBall. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast, wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you tomorrow.